So today we're going to be talking about planned obsolescence of Apple products. It's going to be presented by Jordan Scurry, Jade Chris, Jessica Trin, and Chris Boulain. We're going to be going over the overview, case facts, questions, references, discussion, and conclusion. So for the overview, we are going to be talking about just Apple products having their own updates apart from Android's products already. And with Apple products, they have control over on their software updates and intentionally design their products to become outdated over time. Through these updates, there's battery degeneration and also forces customers to purchase newer Apple products as a result to replace the old ones. Some of these players of this whole problem is the Apple company and the customers who purchase Apple products.
What is planned obsolescence? It is a business strategy in which products purposely break down or have bugs after a specific time frame in order to force consumers to buy a newer version. So some of these tactics include limited durability, which is making products with materials that will wear out, fail, or break after a certain period, technological obsolescence, which is releasing newer versions of a product with features or designs that make the older models seem outdated, perceived obsolescence. It encourages consumers to believe a product is no longer desirable even though it still works. And then non-repairable designs. This is creating a product that is difficult or impossible to repair, forcing replacement instead of repairment.
So here are some case facts. Some of the main issues with Apple products is their rapid product cycle. They're constantly releasing new models and with minor improvements just so customers will feel like they need to upgrade their products. Um, and then there's battery gate, which is the idea that with every new software update, it reduces the battery life of your iPhone over time. And there's also discouraged repairs, making it expensive and not common for Apple products to get repaired. Instead, it's better to just replace them as a whole because it's cheaper.
So the main example of Apple doing this was when Apple actually admitted to slowing down iPhones, ranging all the way from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone X, depending on the iOS version that was running on the actual Apple iPhone.
So here are some questions. Some of the main ethical questions that we have is product transparency to customers. Is Apple transparent to customers about their lifespan of their products? How does the software updates limit the functionality of older phones and push customers to purchase new models? Some environmental impacts are like how planned obsolescence of Apple products causes excess electrical waste within the environment. Does Apple have support for repair options to extend the life of their products? Some of the business practices that they have is how their strategy for planned obsolescence causes it helps them increase in sales and profits overall. And is the constant update in software all a part of a plan to cause a sense of urgency to customers to upgrade their phones? Here are some references.
So as for the relevant references from the actual engineering code of ethics, the main ones that stuck out relative to this case were 2.3a, which is engineers shall be objective and truthful in professional reports, statements, or testimony. They shall include all relevant and pertinent information in such reports, statements, or testimony, which should bear the date indicating when it was current. 2.4c, which is engineers shall not solicit or accept financial or other valuable consideration directly or indirectly from outside agents in connection with the work for which they are responsible. There's 3.1, which states that engineers shall be guided in all their relations by the highest standards of honesty and integrity. In 3.3a, which states that engineers shall avoid the use of statements containing a material misrepresentation or fact of omitting a material fact. As well as that, there's the IEEE, which is takes in honesty in products, and the ASCE, which is safety and sustainability.
So here are some discussion points.
For their professionalism, Apple has used planned obsolescence, particularly in cases like the deliberate slowing of older iPhones, which is known as Batterygate, and they have been criticized for this unethical business idea. So some of the code of ethics that they do break is the transparency and honesty. Apple failed to disclose to consumers that software updates were intentionally slowing older iPhone models. Customer autonomy. By slowing the devices, Apple removed customers' ability to make informed decisions. They also broke sustainability and environmental responsibility, which is encouraging consumers to upgrade prematurely, and this leads to increased electronic waste. They were unfair by degrading performance without proper disclosure to consumers, and they were unfairly compelled to spend money on upgrades or repairs. Trust and loyalty. Apple's decision to undermine the trust of loyal customers who expected their devices to function as promised. And finally, accountability. Apple intentionally didn't take responsibility for the issue until it was discovered, leading to legal battles and financial penalties.
So as for placing this on a line drawing scale, you can see there's the different paradigms. You've got your negative paradigm and your positive paradigm, respectively. Those are Apple making phones unusable after a set amount of time, and then Apple making it so that phones would last as long as possible. And in reality, what happened was Apple was slowing down the phone's performance over time and pushing updates that would cause the phone to slow down with what they claimed would decrease battery consumption as the battery was getting worse by slowing the phone down. But in reality, it was just making consumers more likely to go and replace their phone because it was slowing down and seemed like it wasn't working as well. In hypothetical situations, Apple could have made their iPhones no better than necessary and allowed them to age and be replaced as needed due to eventual breaking or degradation of the phone. And that would be placed more towards the center in between the positive paradigm and the negative paradigm. And then another hypothetical situation that Apple could have done was making the iPhones materials that had extreme longevity such that they wouldn't need to be as replaced as often, and it would be better for the consumer overall. And that would be closer, more towards a positive paradigm. However, a downside with that would be most likely phones would cost a lot more due to Apple using more expensive and long-lasting materials.
Risk safety and accidents. Do's. Be transparent. Clearly communicate the purpose of the software. Extend product support. Optimize software support for older devices to extend their lifespans. Promote sustainability. Support the right to repair the devices by making spare parts and repair guidelines accessible. Don'ts. Don't hide key features. Do not obscure real reasons behind slowed performance or reduced functionality. Don't force upgrades. Avoid designing software updates that disproportionately degrade the performance of older devices. Don't compromise on safety. Avoid shortcuts in batteries or hardware management that could easily lead to safety risks, such as overheating. The rights and responsibilities of engineers. There was no significant whistleblower case with an Apple organization. Instead, the public exposure came from independent researchers and consumer backlash. Engineers focused on safety by implementing a process to prevent overheating and unexpected shutdowns. This allowed users to disable throttling, address transparency concerns after a public backlash. The situation can be analyzed in terms of potential ethical challenges and how professional responsibilities might have been managed within the organization. Learn lessons here were foster environments where employees can raise ethical concerns safely, introduce independent reviews for decisions impacting consumer trust, and strengthen whistleblowing protections to encourage accountability.
So, in conclusion, the lack of transparency, Apple undermined consumer trust. They did consumer manipulation. They had difficulty in repairing or upgrading devices, which restricts consumer choices. The environmental impact, because consumers had to upgrade constantly to keep up with the newer generation of iPhones, it increased electronic waste. Fairness concerns, planned obsolescence disproportionately affects income consumers who cannot afford to keep up with the constant upgrades. Therefore, the controversy underscores the need for greater transparency, repairable product designs, and environmental accountability to align business practices with the ethical engineering standards.
Does anyone have any questions?